Three,
Uh-oh.
2, 1. Hello and welcome to episode 112 of Ruse Radio. That's 112. We got a fantastic guest here. Fantastic guest, sir. Please introduce yourself.
I am Frank Vega.
Frank Vega. Now, Frank Vega, the people who know you, they know that they are going to hell with you, right? So explain how that works.
I started doing a thing I called a minute of hell, and then it evolved to 2 minutes or 3 minutes or whatever minutes they need me to perform for. So I've gone up as far as 10 minutes. But I started that because I noticed that people are so used to swiping, on Facebook or dating apps or whatever, so their attention span has been diminished now. So before you would do a 5-minute set and people would be, all involved with it. So then I go, you know what? I go, this is hell for me. It's hell for the audience. I go, let me just give them a minute.
Yeah.
And that worked out very well. And also because since my humor is very dark, then I know some people now, especially because people are more sensitive, can only take a minute.
Yeah.
So if I tell them, okay, you're going to have to only endure 2 minutes, it's easier for them to handle than I'm going to be up for 5 minutes because it'll feel like a half an hour to them. So, yeah. But that's how I came about it.
And so how did you start structuring it that way then? Did you know exactly what the 60 seconds would be? Do you time it? How do you do that?
Yeah, usually I'll write it and then I'll see the time on it.
Okay.
So yeah, but there's routines that I've dissected and just split them up. So it might have been started off as a 5-minute routine, but then when I started doing this minute of hell, then I'll just do the first section, then I'll do a second section, then I'll do a third section,
Yeah.
And then I have a whole month of routines set up already, and it's just one routine. So.
Yeah, very cool. Wow. And then do you ever do more than that? Do you ever do more than just the 60 seconds?
Yeah. Because especially if it's a showcase, they'll want you to do 5 minutes, 7 minutes.
Yeah.
And if you do a charity event, the very least you're going to do is 10 minutes. So yeah, I'm able to do an hour if I needed to do an hour.
Oh, you have a whole hour.
Yeah. So yeah. I have
60 minutes of hell with Frank Vega.
But so I have tons of stuff. It's just, I just know that, and especially if you go to open mics, they're not a real audience. Once in a while you'll get a real audience with the mics. So they're just there either memorizing or they're nervous or they're reading over their notes and they're not invested in you and they're not real laughers. So sometimes I'll just, you'll get off stage and, man, that was a great set. I'm saying that would have been nice to laugh. So I would have known that. Maybe a smile from the audience might have helped.
Yeah, that is the thing with a lot of the open mics. It is just like comedians working on their own material, all in the audience.
Or you're shitting bricks. You're sitting there shitting bricks, saying, "Am I going to do this? Am I going to say this right? Am I, because it's like a wordsmith, so everything has to be set up right. So it could be 3 words, but if you put one word in front of the other one, you just ruin the whole joke, you know. And then you're up there kicking yourself in the head while you're continuing on. So it's a horrible. That's why it's a minute of hell.
Yeah, that actually would help, right? To have it as the minute, so you can't even. It actually lowers the failure rate.
And it helps a lot with memorization because when you have to memorize 5 minutes, then you have to, a minute's easier to memorize and then to go through it and then to rehearse it. But if you rehearse, 3 5-minute sets, that's 15 minutes. If you rehearse 1 minute 3 times, that's just only 3 minutes of your day. So I love it like that. So there's a lot of benefits of doing it like that.
Okay, and then how often do you write these different ones? Because if it would be like you'd have a new 60 seconds or new 2 minutes.
There used to be a place up here called the Heartland.
Yeah.
And I used to do open mics there and do 5 minutes. And I would write a new routine every week.
Do you still do that?
No, I just do it based on, because you have to curate an audience or a show. In order to do that, you have to stay at one place. Okay. So once I move to another location, then I got to start from scratch. Then I start all over again with my extension cord routine. The only time I need to write a new one is if something's happening in the news.
Yeah.
Because that's how I write a routine. I come up with one joke, and then I write around that one joke. But my whole purpose is just to get that one joke out. and then I just throw everything else around it and in it, and to make a routine.
Yeah, like you get one solid idea, and then
yeah.
you build around that idea. Okay, that's fun, and you do it often though. Like you're still making new.
Oh, always.
You have to be doing it all the time.
Always,
how often you go to open mics then?
Well, now I'm going once a week, but because I feel because I actually to me it's like a budget. So it's like if I would go to 5 different mics and spend, let's say, $25, that's $125 I have to spend.
Yeah.
But if I go once a week, that's going to be like $25.
Yeah.
So the more mics, the more money I'm losing, and so it's to me it's counterproductive to do that.
Yeah.
Because it's going to get you to the same place, whether you go to 5 open mics or you go to 1. Yeah. So.
Yeah. And I mean, at least the open mics, I think one thing that's nice about them is you do get to find other comedians and stuff like that. Like, that's the other side of it. Is just comedians in the audience, but they are the people who might be able to help with your material and, like, at least see something in it, too. Like, they might see something different in it than a regular audience member would have seen in it. But, and, like, with the showcases, too, like, is it just going to open mics? Is that where you would get seen for a showcase?
Exactly. That's pretty much how it works.
That's just what I would assume. They're just scouting those things sometimes. Yeah. I went to the open mic for, it was the Laugh Factory. They had a nice open mic. Like, it was a nice little, I mean, of course it's the Laugh Factory, but I didn't know they did an open mic on, I think it was Tuesday.
Yeah. I used to go to that, but it's hard to get up there.
Okay.
And then so I actually got like passively aggressively banned from the Laugh Factory.
Okay.
Which was hilarious. But because what you have to do, you have to line up with 25, 50 people, and then you have to sign up, and then they have a cutoff, and then they tell you to email them, and then they'll put you on next week's list. And so then what happened was after they passively aggressively banned me without telling me, I would stand in line with everyone else, and then they put me in the cutoff, and they go, well, just email us, and you'll be on the next week's list. And I would go next week, we didn't get your email. And then I go next week, we didn't get your email. And then you had to go, okay, I get it.
I see.
But it's like what happened was they have a rule for the open micers that you have to tell jokes that would be for 4th graders.
Okay.
And so my material is like all dark. So then I go, well, okay, then I'll just write, hints of what I'm saying, not expressly saying it exactly, So, but the first time I did my routine, I just did it regular, and then they said, okay, reminder, just 4th grade. So then I went back next time with a fuck you routine, and so I just did all these innuendos. And then to make sure that I would get in trouble, so I am glad I got banned. I said the Virgin Mary. I go that hymen was busted when she had the baby Jesus. She's no longer a virgin. And then the host says, oh, try to explain hymen to a 4th grader. So that's when I got banned.
Why do you think they had that rule?
I understand working clean, but to say to a 4th grader, is like, it makes no sense to me. But I guess they want to see if they can control you. I don't know what it is. And to me, I could see if they had an audience. But it's like, it's usually, a big empty garage of a few open micers,
Yeah.
And so I could see if they had people in the audience that, so I didn't understand it at all. And I didn't care either, because it was like, that's like some people, that's like their goal. I want to perform at the Laugh Factory, and they'll even pay for the room so then they can perform, And it's like, I'm not desperate.
Yeah. I didn't realize it was that tight to get into the Laugh Factory like that.
Oh my God, yeah, it's a pain in the ass, and to me, like now in this kind of weather, you'll be outside freezing to try to get on the list, then you don't make the list. But you're welcome to watch the show and spend money on drinks.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't think so.
Oh, and is it like that is one of those 2-drink minimum places, isn't it?
Right, yeah.
Yes, of course. And okay, because when I went there, I had just stopped by with James the Jar because he was already on the list.
Yeah.
So he just said to me like, "Hey, I'm going to be at Laugh Factory. I'm 22 at Laugh Factory." So I was like, "Oh, okay." And I was able to get in with him. I didn't even realize if I had gotten there earlier, it would have been 2-drink minimum and all that. Yeah, and then that's probably smart. There was one point when they came out and she had like a tray full of shots, and she's like, "I got shots if anybody wants any." Everybody go, "Ah!" Like, wow, genius marketing here. It's good stuff. But it was, that makes sense because it was a nice. It seems like a nice room. I could see why it would get such a demand like that, though, especially for an open mic. Because open mics are on a scale. Like there's all kinds of open mics.
And people just want that on their resume.
Yep, you're right.
I was on the Laugh Factory stage.
But that's why people would pay for it.
But that's why I like, okay, let me do the open mic. Then I can say I was on the Laugh Factory stage.
Yeah. To add such a thing to one's resume, that would be a real big thing, wouldn't it? It would make you a real nice character, perhaps even a mind blower. You're out here blowing minds, taking the big stage, one by one, knocking them all down. If you're doing that, at that point, we might as well all acknowledge you as the professional mind blower that you are. And if you want us to do that, if you want to let us know, if you want to make this whole process a little bit easier, you just buy one of these professional mind blower t-shirts we got for this show right here. That's right, folks. We are selling t-shirts at $25. You can get yourself one of these bad boys. Let everybody know exactly what you are capable of. If you want to support this show, but you don't want to get a shirt, if you want to still let us know, we are laying down some amazing things right on your computer or phone screen, right into your earbuds, into your ears. If you like what's happening there and you want to let us know, the Patreon, folks. Patreon, $5 a month. It's the cost of a coffee, the cost of a beer at the bar. Just simple $5. Just a simple little, tiny little drop in the bucket. And you can let us know that what we are doing is magical. And that's what we are doing. It's magical. We're bringing people in. We are making magic happen. And you can help us make that happen with things like this. So please consider it. I appreciate you. Thanks for watching. Let's hear a little bit more about the Laugh Factory Chicago. And they don't film it though, right? There's no like filming.
Not that I'm aware of. No.
I mean, maybe they post clips because I know that they have, like when I was there, they had the thing. You could see the screen way in the corner where it was like what it looks like when you see those YouTube videos of Laugh Factory.
Right.
Maybe that's just like, another psychology thing. Like, look, it's just like that thing you see all the time. This is the famous place. Yeah. Chicago seems like a good city for comedy, though. Are there any like comedians around the city you like a lot that you...
Not really, because most comedians, if you analyze comedy, which that's all they do, and even the people that are on the late night shows, they're usually just fact tellers, and they're not doing a joke. It's just the fact. I went into a bar and I slipped on the floor. I can't believe I slipped on the floor.
Yeah.
And they're just selling that they slipped on the floor. They're not doing an analogy. They're not doing anything comedy about it or expounding on it or adding to it or nothing. So they're just fact tellers. So most comedians are just fact tellers, and I'm like really disappointed at them.
And what would be the alternative? Like, what would be the better version of comedy? Like, how do you do it without being a fact teller? Like, what would be the better way to do it?
Well, what you have to do is this is the fact, and then expound on it, make a joke about it, and stuff like that. Like the routine I was going to do yesterday, but I didn't get to perform yesterday, was I announced that I'm going to do stripper analogies along with my routine.
Okay.
So then I described a disappointment, and then the disappointment is the fact. The analogy is like a stripper that gets the wrong G-string in the mail. You use it, but it's not what you ordered. So that's the joke. So if I just said, I got disappointed because I didn't get my Christmas present, there is no joke there, you know. But that's all they'll tell you that, I've been waiting for a present. I never got it. And then you go like a stripper, But, and that's why I always list, and I do it more as to warn the audience, because everyone is very sensitive now, is my comedy is known to be awkwardly absurd.
Yeah.
With a dash of unpopular opinion.
Yeah.
So it's just to warn them, your feelings are going to get hurt. You're going to hate me because I'm very polarizing, so yeah.
Have you, is there experiences you've had that where you were polarizing, where you realized, okay, maybe I should have this disclaimer first? Like, have you been too polarizing?
Yeah, that's when I learned it, when I was at the Heartland up here, because the Heartland attracted a lot of feminists and a very hippie culture.
Yeah.
And kumbaya people and woke people and stuff like that. So when I would make my jokes, they were like squirming in their seats. And
what kind of stuff were you saying? Like, what was it that was making them upset?
It's what I do now. Like, I actually got censored at it's a pizza open mic. I forgot what it's called.
Yeah.
But I got censored there because they had the same. It was a whole bunch of everyone is either trans, lesbian, and so
I just ask because I wonder where they draw the line. Like, are you making like friendly jokes, like just about like a trans person? Is it like that kind of joke?
Well, what it is it's just awkwardly absurd.
Yeah.
So I'm not making a joke about or making fun of. It's just they don't want me touching on that subject.
That's what, yeah.
Because
okay.
I'm normalizing this maybe. Because the joke that they didn't like, well, they didn't like most of my stuff anyways, but the host told me, and so then I just did one more routine the following week that, kicked ass, because I have other stuff that's not polarizing.
Yeah.
And so I did that, and I go, I'm not going to come back here anymore.
You got your fourth grader stuff.
Yeah. I go, yeah, so I'm not going to come back here anymore because then I'm not free to write anymore, I'm not writing for them. Now, if they're paying me, they go, we want you to write fourth grade stuff. Okay, no problem. I'll write you some fourth grade stuff. But but you're not paying me, and I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this, it's like, to me, I equate comedy, and this is the way I do comedy, is like a painter.
Yeah.
A painter paints what he wants to paint. And when he's done painting, he just says, look at this. And that's it. He's not asking you for your opinion. Should I have used a yellow here?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I do. I'm just painting. This is it. Like it or not, love it or not, I don't really care. I'm just a painter. Here it is. So yeah. So I was doing routines there. There's this one routine that I do about being jealous that I wasn't molested, and that what didn't I have that the priest didn't want me. The priest wanted everyone else except for me,
Yeah.
So I do a whole routine like that, and they were upset that I was talking about molestation, But
Usually they like the church jokes. I thought the church was like the one molestation joke everybody can make, like the priests. That was my general.
No, people. It all depends where you go.
I guess that's the moral of the story.
So in that room, I actually got a groan when I was comparing the guy that molested the guy from Nickelodeon. I go. But the church has been molesting boys for what, centuries?
Yeah.
And then they were like, oh. I go, who's sticking up for their church in this room?
Yeah, what side are we on here?
Yeah. But yeah, so you never know what room you're in.
I guess like the problem is, it's kind of like you're saying, like people they hear an idea, and it's more about the fact you even brought it up, because
right.
You're not even really saying it's right or wrong. It's a joke about the absurdity of the situation. It's all absurd. That's what comedy is doing, is pointing out the absurdity of things, and we can laugh at things.
But now people are at a tranquil area where they want to hear, and that's why comedians, that's all they do now. They want to, they just talk about normal stuff. My roommate dishes left in the sink, this happened, my girlfriend did this,
Play it safe, kind of.
Well, it's just, everybody has just been placated now. This is normal. So everyone's doing the norm, and then I go up there. And it's like, I know, because the first routine I ever worked on and created is the first routine I do in every club that I go to.
Yeah.
And it's because I was taking improv classes at Second City, and a stand-up comedian came in to use our class to try out some stuff, to learn about improv. And so then I go running up to him, and I said, I'm thinking about doing stand-up comedy, but the first thing that comes to my mind, and that's what you're taught in improv, do the first thing that comes to your mind.
Yep.
Never stray from that, because then it's just a bad thing to get into a habit of doing.
Yep.
I go, the first thing that comes to my mind is about speaking about child abuse, and I don't know if I should do that. And he goes, anything could be made funny. I go, okay. So then that's what I do to test the audience. And the first words that come out of my mouth when I go on stage is, how many people here have been whipped with an extension cord as a kid? Whipped with an extension cord as a kid, you know? And that's my first testing ground for the audience.
That's a good start. That's a good way to say hello.
Right,
you know?
right. And then you can gauge the room right then and there.
Yeah.
You know, are they on board? Are they going to hate you? You know, and by luck, it's just a minute of hell, so.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Because I do feel like, you know, it is a good way to you got to test people. And you've learned that more and more over time, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Are there just some places you know you shouldn't go to, like because of the way your material is? Or do you still kind of, do you find a way to maneuver around it? You say the right things?
Oh, no. I have to do it the way it's painted.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. Yes.
I can't sell out, you know, unless they pay me.
Yeah.
Oh, we don't want you to use the word extension cord. You know, okay.
All right. I'll say belt instead.
But you're not paying me. It's extension cord.
Yeah, it would just that's interesting. That's an interesting. See, I like that way that you look at it with the because I mean it's kind of at that point it is kind of musical almost. Truly, like you have a certain rhythm to it. It's this way. It stays exactly like this. There's nothing you can do to change it. You know, like I think a lot of great artistry tends to be that, but a lot of the time it's hard to get there because, you know, you want to master that art form in order to have the comfort to be able to have that freedom with what you're doing. Like even great comics, like they find a way to do that with their own personality. Like every great comic does it their own way because comedy's so personal. I think like art generally, you could say that in a general way. All art is kind of like that.
Right.
Like movies. I love movies for that when it's like a great director that always makes great movies. There's my favorite director would probably be Paul Thomas Anderson, if you've ever seen any of his films. But they're all like art pieces. They're all so good. And it's like it reminds me of the art form of movies. I think another great one, Stanley Kubrick. Like every one of his movies like a classic.
Right.
Because he has such a distinct style. And I think if you can develop that distinct style and know exactly what you are, you become like a superpower, like a monster in a way. And then you can just be that. You can just practice that and get better at that. But if you don't know what you are, you're still like...
Exactly,
You're still stomping around trying to figure it out, like stumbling. So how long have you done comedy for?
I first dipped my toe in the 90s. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and the only thing that pushed me in the first place, because I was interested in it, but I never took a step, is because my brother announced to me. And my brother's like the jock in the family, so you know he's played baseball, got scholarships, you know, got close to being professional.
Yeah.
So he's the athlete of the family, and he tells me one day, he goes, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing some stand-up comedy." And I go, "I'll be damned if he goes into stand-up comedy before I do, because that's my thing. I'm the actor of the family, the entertainer of the family." Yeah. I go, so then that's when I met the stand-up comic and asked him, and then I performed like within that month before he did, and he never did it. So I was, but I was like, I'll be damned.
Wow. So it was actually like it was like it was like what would you call that? Not revenge, but like I wouldn't even know it's a retribution, but it's like an act of vengeance. Maybe that's the word. Like it was a personal act.
It's sibling rivalry.
Yeah. But that's actually, it stuck though. That's what's funny about it too, is it wasn't just a one-time thing. You didn't continue from the 90s till now, did you?
Well, I did continue, but then I got a big acting job at Navy Pier, and I was doing that for 14 years, you know.
Was just like playing a character there?
It started off as improv work, and then we started writing plays based on improv and then doing skits, and so I was there for 14 years just doing that nonstop. So I had no time to write, no time to do stand-up comedy.
I see.
Yeah. So
that's still a fun job, though.
Oh, it was amazing. Yeah.
So it's a creative job. So you still were being creative.
Oh, yeah, always. Yeah. I quit having a real job once I turned 30. It was like, no more real jobs for me.
Hey, that's a great way to live. I'm waiting for my escape from real jobs. Yeah. And like writing, what kind of plays, what kind of stuff were you writing? Like what kind of?
It was children's theater. So we were like, you know, pirate adventures, mascot shows, and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
It was a lot. It was a blast, and it was like my training ground because that was my first acting job because once I started doing improv, I got in an improv show. And then from there, I auditioned for these people. And then they just did all these different shows and they would put me in this, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. So I just learned, I became a puppeteer, they just threw me in anywhere and I was just learning stuff. And I was like, wow, this is stuff I never would have dreamt I would have done.
Yeah.
And to be having a job in entertainment, I was like, I was in heaven, so.
And then you returned to comedy after all of that?
Yeah, after that, then I started going back to my stand-up and stuff.
Do you think any elements of that like came back into your stand-up? All the stuff you did with theater and all that, like do you think it helped at all?
Just being able to be on stage.
Yeah.
That's like second nature to me now. So
that's cool.
Yeah. That's one of the hardest things to do, and then also to have the training to know, how to work a stage and all that stuff. Yeah. So
especially kids are like, you got to lead the kids. I think kids would actually be a good way to learn how to like lead an audience because kids are kind of more eager to watch what you're doing too. They're probably a more eager audience than adults. If I had to guess, like especially if you're pirates and stuff, like if you have a good hook, those kids hook, no pun intended. Those kids will get real excited.
Yeah, but then it's good because you have to be good enough for the parents to be interested. Otherwise, the parents are going to be wondering or whatever. But yeah, so everyone enjoyed the show, and then we'd have audiences as big as 300 people.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it was amazing.
It's more than a lot of comedy shows.
Right.
Wow.
And it's a big difference. Like audiences are like whether you have an audience that's a real audience or stand-up comics, because an audience is there to laugh, and so they'll laugh. Like I've done shows, and they'll laugh at the beginning of the joke, the setup of the joke, and then at the punchline. Yeah. And they're just laughing throughout nonstop. It's amazing feeling. So that's how you know your stuff is good is when you perform in front of an audience. And then also you have to be a good judge of material and comedy. Otherwise you'll be writing crap and not even aware that you're writing crap.
Yeah. And what does that come with time, or do you think it's like just do you think that's I guess I would assume, if I had to answer that question, I would just assume it's like a skill, just like any other skill that you have to train. It's like a muscle. Like some people are more naturally muscular than others, but everybody could work out and get better. And so I think all talents are generally like that. Like some people are just generally good at reading what is working, and other people need to figure that out over time.
Right.
That's my guess.
Right, because there's training and learning how to do things, work an audience, the improv rules, whatever, but if it's married with natural talent, that's what does it.
Yeah.
Because that's one thing you can't teach is natural talent.
I agree.
Natural look on stage, the natural, confidence.
Yep.
You might not have any confidence in the world, and people will say, that's the most confident guy I've seen. It's just what you have,
Yeah, I mean, so my rap name is Ruse, and I like to think of that as like everything is a ruse in such a way. Everything you look at is like something playing at something else. It's what your interpretation of that is, or like I'm playing a role. Like you could look at everything in life like a play, and this is the role we're playing. I'm the podcast host, and you're the guest, and those are the roles we're playing in this script of this story that we've built for right now. But like, it's just like you said about how like at a comedy show, the audience is different because in their mind, the scenario is different. We're not all in an open mic and this is just a bunch of comics and this is a small thing. It's like we just went out tonight and we're ready to laugh at a comedy show because they created that in their mind.
Like the audiences are so bad and so desperate for laughter that because I go to a lot of plays in Chicago, they'll go to a serious play and start laughing at a moment where it's not supposed to be funny because they're always ready to laugh, which is great for comedians. But yeah, they're always ready to laugh. So I love that. But that's great about you is like you have a lot of bravado on stage when you perform.
Yeah.
It's amazing, it's amazing because that stuff, you can't bottle, you can't train, you can't sell. An actor can try to act that way, but yeah, you sell it, man. You're really amazing.
I can't help myself. Like truly, it's just what I do best. I'm glad to hear you say that just because like, I wish more people realize. I think my only problem is exposure. I know that like I just know, like, it's like what you said earlier about, like, when you watch people perform and you could, or no, you know what, I think that was, I did 2 podcasts today. I think it was my guest before you. Yes. But anyway, he was saying that, like, you go and you do, you see all these people performing at stand up. It was Torgy. His name's Torgy. He does Torgy Talk is his podcast. But anyway, he was talking about how he would go to these open mics, and he was watching Kill Tony was originally what it was, because he didn't even know about open mics before that. But he would see people like bomb all the time, and he'd be like, oh, I could do that. Like I could go up there and do that. And so it's the same kind of thing where like I try to tell people, like, if you see me doing great, it's like the opposite of that. I am just like you. I'm a normal person. Like, you can do this too. It's the same thing with seeing people bomb. Like, I think anybody can, again, train that muscle and become a performer. It's being in the moment. And some people can just channel that and be in the moment. And I know, because I know what that's like. I know what it is to just succumb yourself to that moment, be in that, and feel that, because that's what performance is to me in my heart, like religiously. It's like, this cannot be recreated. I'm capturing one thing right here in these 3 minutes of hell I'm providing for these people. Like, truly. And so if you treat, and it's the mindset too.
Right.
Like, if you treat it that way and you take it seriously, I think you take yourself seriously, then you can achieve amazing things.
Right. Yeah.
I try to say that as much as I can, because I think everybody's different with it, though. That's what's so great about life, is some people are the best plumber in the world. Like, some people are the best electrician in the world. We just have different callings for some random reasons.
Yeah, the first time I had an inkling that I could do stand-up, I went with maybe like 10 people to Six Flags, Great America, and we, you know how the lines rap and you're just in there for almost 2 hours. So we were one of those lines. So I was talking to my group of people, and I was making them laugh. And then we would turn a corner, and then the people around there started joining in with the laughter. And then we turned the corner, and then those people would start laughing too. And then we turned the corner, and I go, I'm making a cross section of America laugh. I go, I think I can be a stand-up comic.
I'm killing in this line right now.
I'm killing at an amusement park.
I must have some type of gift.
Well, that's when I had an inkling that I could do it.
Yeah, and like so when you like envision your comedy career, like 5 years, 10 years down the line, what do you see? Like, how do you imagine it playing out? The best case scenario, like, what's the future for Frank?
Well, best case scenario is for everyone. It's all about a hit or a miss and luck of the draw.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
Yeah.
It's who you know, or who knew you, or you know, this guy knows. That's all it is. It's just luck.
Yeah.
So I can go from here to a Netflix special tomorrow. That's a possibility, you know. Or I could be doing this for another 10 years. And either way, I'd love it.
Yeah.
Because I love it. It's an art form. This is the most selfish art form, I think, that exists. So, so I love it.
I don't know. Writing books is probably a little more selfish.
Well, I'm talking about like as a performer, because an actor, you know, you have to read. You know, you're not creating anything.
Oh, yeah.
Improv, you have to follow rules and stuff like that. Especially if you're in a group, you know.
Yeah.
Here I can do anything.
Yeah.
You know, so I love having that ability.
That's why I like writing music too. I never feel more free than when I write a song. I feel like it's entirely my own. No one can touch it. No one can change a thing about it.
Exactly.
And that's what makes it. The one, like, I had an experience in about, I want to say, like, it was 11th grade. So my junior year of high school, and it was we had a poetry teacher. It was probably my senior year, actually. But it was poetry class, and I'm like, I wrote poetry, I wrote music, I did all this back then too. So I'm thinking this is perfect for me. But I remember she taught it like it was an English class, and she wanted like you would write your poems, but then you would revise your poetry. You'd have someone read it and tell you what you could change about it, and you were graded upon the revisions of the poetry. And I couldn't accept this. I just got a bad grade in the class because I told her, like, I wrote beautiful things in that class. I have things on my phone that I still wrote then. I'm like, I'm glad I wrote this exactly the way I did, you know, just like
and that's great that you have it. I mean, those few years when I was writing a new routine every week, so that's 52 routines a year.
Yeah.
And
oh, you didn't record it or anything?
No.
Wow.
And now I have regrets. I go, what? That's so many routines gone, man.
Has anyone ever told you, like, record everything? Because I think that's great advice. Like, it is. And everybody's got a phone now.
Yeah.
So, like, if I were you, I would just, because I mean, even just if you wanted to, what you do works for, like you said, because of people's attention spans. You put it in a minute, 3 minutes. Nowadays on social media, if you posted a video like that, just rapid fire, one of those could really catch. And that's, again, like you said, with chance and luck.
Right.
It's just as random as that. Just that one video. It could be one of your worst 3 minutes, but it just happened to catch on for something you said.
And especially now, that's how it works. It's so odd now. There is no map anymore like there used to be. That's why when people are trying to follow the map of the people that are stars now, they're trying to follow their map from the 80s, from the 90s. Yeah. And that map doesn't exist anymore, because it even comes down to money. That sometimes there was no cover to get into a club. Sometimes it was $5 drink night at a club, and it'd be packed with people, packed with an audience. You're lucky to find anything packed or sold out. It's crazy. So there is
less people go to the comedy clubs
now. Oh yeah, but now it's like the map now is getting the most likes. That's what's going to open up your career now. So if you have all these followers, then a club wants to hire you because you have all these followers.
Yeah.
If you have no followers, a club's not really interested in you, no matter how funny you are. They go, how many followers do you have? And sometimes that's what they'll ask you. Like if you want to perform at a festival or whatever, they want to know how many followers you are, what sites you're on.
It makes me not surprised when you hear things about like musicians faking streams or people buying followers.
Right.
It's like because the whole thing is built around that.
Exactly. Now that's the map. Yeah. That's the map. Yeah.
And it's kind of a shame because that's not how true talent is found.
Right. Right.
True talent used to be, like you said, the roadmap used to be completely different. You would put yourself in positions to where people could see you, and then you would hope that maybe some talent agent finds you, and you would make sure to just keep working at that and going out and doing things. Nowadays, you can get away with just focusing on filming your own stuff and posting stuff and making content by yourself. Or it's just a whole different... And when you become a content creator, it's not so much about the art form anymore. Now it's about you're transforming the art form into something else that it wasn't originally. It just kind of fogs everything up.
I think so, yeah.
I think if the best case scenario is you're someone who has enough money to where you can hire someone to do your social media for you. That's what makes the most sense to me because truly... I wish I didn't have to edit anything. I didn't have to think about these things. I wish this podcast, I just told somebody, all right, set up the camera. I'll do all the talking, but that's all I want to do. And that would be fantastic. But everybody's their own manager now because, like you said, it's all about likes. It's all about follows. And to the point where the people who are hiring you are looking at that and seeing, do you have any viral videos?
Right, exactly.
That's what it's about now.
Yeah.
And, it's about, do you post your stand-up? Can I easily access your stand-up?
Oh, my God, yeah, big time.
I'm sure that's a big thing
time,
for them.
Yeah.
Like, because they probably go to your page and all they see is a bunch of selfies, and they're like, this isn't a serious
There's
comic.
opportunities where they'll say, where can I connect you to? Can you send me this? And I don't have like videos. I'll have I have a random video that I had someone had done for me when I was doing an open mic up in Rogers Park, and it's a side view, because it was like a FaceTime Live or whatever. What's that called? Facebook Live.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a Facebook Live, So I just send that, in, and I do it because I think it is the altar boy routine. I do it because of that. I go, this is how I am. So if you hate this, don't even think about hiring me because I don't want to have a discussion with you. So I always send that as my audition tape.
That's funny. You give them all the information they need up front, just so you know. That's fun.
Yeah, I have this one really. I mean, it's not meant to be. I mean, people think that I try to write to be shock or to be polarizing, but I don't. This is straight from the heart. This is how I talk. These are my jokes. This is what
you're naturally polarizing.
Right.
Yeah.
And so there's the one that is so polarizing. I was at the Red Room when I've done it maybe 4 times there. The last time I did it there, the audience went crazy. They loved it. I couldn't believe it. They applauded. They thought I was wonderful. What a genius. And then the other 3 times, wow. Wow. I've had comedians. I had comedians. Every comedian that went up after me just talked about me.
Yeah.
I had another one. Every comedian went up there. They were scared of me. We had a girl up there almost crying, and I'm sitting next to him. And, it's like, it was crazy. And then the first time I did it there, the host went up, "You're not even funny. There was no comedy in it. I don't believe you said that." But I never got banned from the Red Room. So I kept going there regardless. And I would I would do that routine again. But I would try to frame it to try to make people understand that I'm not trying, because the routine's about the N-word.
Okay.
And so I say that you're not allowed to say the N-word, and I don't want to ruin your podcast, so I'm not going to say anything. But I will say, but we're.
I mean, if you do say anything, I can bleep it. I'm looking at the timestamp right now, so if you want to tell me the joke in full, I really do want to hear what.
So what I'll do, because I try to package it to make people understand that I'm at your same level. I understand where you're coming from, that it's taboo. I understand that. I'm not trying to make a routine where I want to say the word.
Yeah.
I understand there's repercussions, freedom of speech, but there's repercussions.
Okay.
I understand all that. So I try to tell them that. Then I try to frame it, well, this is an homage to Lenny Bruce. And I don't know if you know anything about Lenny Bruce. If you see the movie Lenny Bruce, I love it. Because he does this one routine where he comes in and he says, N-word, 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 spick, 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 dago, dago, dago. That's the beginning of his routine. Yeah. And this is from the 60s, Yeah. And we can't even do anything from this guy's catalog of comedy that was in the 60s.
Yeah.
And he was one of the biggest fighters for freedom of speech, and he got so many laws passed. I mean, this guy's a god. Yeah. And so I tried to frame it, this is an homage to Lenny Bruce, and he was arrested here in Chicago, And then I'll go into the routine, and it's a pretty hefty routine, but then the part that people just faint at, and say it again, they want to fight me.
Yeah.
And so then, but what I'll do is I'll say, everyone's allowed to say Arnold Schwarzenegger's last name. Everyone's allowed to say Oscar-winning, Tony Award-winning Ruth Nega's last name.
Yeah.
If you renege too much playing spades, you're a renegger. I could go to any supermercado, bodega, grocery store and ask for white vinegar.
Yeah.
That's just to show you that everyone's saying the word, and nothing's happening to them,
Yeah.
But people just go crazy, man.
Yeah.
It's and then sometimes so now that I know it's polarizing, people can't handle it. I'll end the routine. I go, and that's your 3 minutes of hell, my N-words. That's how I end the routine, because I can see they're like all mad,
That's the best possible thing you can say at the end there. That is very funny. I mean, wow. To be honest, I think that takes courage to be able to even do a bit like that in any room, especially just because that this might not be taken well. They might not but that's what the thing is. What I don't like about that is I just think as long as I know your intention is comedy, I know you're trying to be funny, you're trying to have a good time. In my mind, always, ever since I was a kid, it's do I really care? If someone says something trying to be funny, but it misses the mark, am I going to get mad at that?
Right.
No. You could even help them improve it. If you really don't like it, you could be constructive and help them improve it, but people just get mad. They assume the worst thing. They assume if you say that, you must think 10 other terrible things.
Yeah, so then I went to a place in Old Town to perform, and the door guy, who I didn't recognize because I'm not very good with people, places, names, nothing like that.
Yeah, I'm the worst.
I didn't recognize him. And also I go in, I'm upstairs waiting to perform. My name's on the list. I'm happy. And all of a sudden, two guys come up to me, the host and someone else. And I go, oh, I know what this looks like because I've been kicked out of bars before.
Deja vu.
They always have two guys coming up, And so then they says, our door guy. And then I go, oh, that's who that is. Because he tried to get into an argument with me after my set. He tried to attack me from the stage.
Because of what you said?
Yeah. And I that was the place, some pool hall place, I forgot the name of it, on Fullerton. And he tried to attack me on stage. So then he was telling me, this and that and whatever. And so then I just argued back with him, and then another girl stuck up for him, and then another girl, then another girl. So then I got 4 people trying to argue with me, and I'm handling them all, no problem.
Yeah.
And then he said, "You should quit what you're doing." And I go, quit doing what? You know, comedy or saying Arnold Schwarzenegger.
No.
And he was like, so he tells the other comedy place in Old Town, he goes, "Don't let this guy perform. All he says is racist stuff. He's a racist. All he says is the N-word." And I go, so they come up to me, they go, "Yeah, we were told this." I go, I don't know what he's talking about. I go, "I'm doing a routine on dogs today."
Yeah.
I go,
yeah, but
the first time I did it before the pandemic. I was applauded for it. I was like a hero. That was ingenious how you did this, you know. And then after the pandemic, it was like everything changed.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Just because really like the way that people at comedy shows were changed after 2020, like you could pinpoint it to that.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Huh. I wonder why. I think it's just the polarization of everything. Like I think people have gotten to be convinced that like everything has got to be.
Well, during that time it was the Black Lives Matter thing.
Yeah.
And everyone now is more sensitive, overly so, you know, where they think, "Oh, this is something bad," I think. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they want to stand up for that, you know.
And that's only natural, like as a person to
Right.
want to stand up for injustice because we all face injustice.
But it has to
in
be
different
an
ways.
actual injustice.
Yeah.
That's the criteria they're not meeting.
Yeah. Well, and like I think with that group in particular, it ended up being the case, I thought, that like the people who were leading it were kind of extorting the group and putting it in the wrong, like it wasn't exactly guided very well when it came down to like who were the political leaders of Black Lives
But
Matter.
now it's like it covers everything now. Everything is taboo.
Yeah.
And so it's like,
Well, even back then, I remember thinking, like, okay, but what if you were to say all lives matter? Like, because that's still theoretically true. Like, all lives
Right.
do matter. But
Right.
people got mad when you say things like that. And it just blew my mind because, like, that should not be a controversial statement. Like, if that's a controversial statement, we're probably not a good place. If I can't say all lives matter, because they all do. My life matters. Your life matters.
That becomes a confrontational statement.
Exactly. And you say that in a comedy set and you try to make
Right.
it work, but just because you chose the string of 3 words right there,
Right,
they're going to
yeah.
get upset that they heard you say that. That's kind and I think like certain things in life highlight this. I think different areas handle it differently. Like I think the way that certain things, everything has gotten, again, so polarized to the point where like, it's just a reflection of the way the culture kind of is. To me, it's almost like a sickness that spreads. Because truly, if we all just gave each other the benefit of the doubt and we all were just nice to each other and just thought, you know what, you probably didn't mean the worst possible thing by that. You probably were just, we would be a lot, that's how it probably was in the 90s, which I didn't get to experience.
Right.
I'm sure that the world was a lot more relaxed. We all just kind of didn't take things so serious.
Right.
But everything kind of, I would say probably 9/11 is where it really flips. And then the world kind of changes. And then 2020 happens and the world really changes again. And it's just like it trips me out for the future because I want a world where everybody is just cool and hanging out and vibing. But instead, it's like you got to worry about what I'm going to say on stage at this comedy show because I don't want people to get mad at me.
And that's why I don't worry. In just a minute, I'm gone.
I like that I like your confidence. Like you probably don't even think about it as bravery. You're just like, I'm just saying what I want to say. But truly, like a lot of people would be afraid.
Yeah.
They'd be like nervous to go up there and say something that might get all these people upset. You just go all the way in.
Yeah, go.
You don't get nervous at all? Not even a little?
Well, I just have my natural nerves as an actor. You always get nervous before. Always.
I agree. Yeah.
But no, I don't worry about it because I know I don't have that intention. I'm not trying to hurt anyone.
Absolutely.
You know. So if you take it that way, that's not on me to placate you, to sit you down on a couch, explain it. No, nothing. It's too bad.
I wonder if like Florida or like the South like would be a better area for your type of comedy. Just because like I imagine they might be a little bit more like easygoing with that type of like even with like, have you ever seen Kill Tony, that show? Like they say pretty much anything on that type of show. That's in Austin, Texas.
I've heard about it. Someone was telling me about it, but yeah, I haven't seen it.
You probably like it.
But it's just weird. It's just like my extension cord routine. I won some sort of contest on the South Side with my routine, and you never know how it's gonna go because people are like most people are appalled by getting whipped with an extension cord as a kid.
Yeah.
But
I love that joke, by the way.
But the joke is, it's always, when I talk to other people, it's always the brown extension cord. Never the white, never the green, never the orange heavy duty, not even the green for the holiday seasons, So I make the whole thing funny. It's funny as hell. But the weirdest response I got from the west side, south side, is everyone comes up to me and they go, wow, because no one ever recognized that. And a lot of people have been hit with extension cords, and usually they're blacks. So then they go, you're uniting Mexicans with the blacks because we didn't know you guys got hit with extension cords too. And I go, wow, they feel seen.
Yeah.
So yes, I would get all the compliments about that routine. Other places they go, we were appalled. And someone's getting it. And they, oh, you were so brave talking about that. And I'm saying, I'm making jokes here.
The Mexicans and the blacks came together through the cord whip. Yeah. That is like a common one probably for a lot. And is that joke based in truth? This really is.
Oh yeah. All my jokes are based in truth. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
It's just, that's how my brain works. Because I was a little kid and I go, why is it always the brown extension cord?
Yeah. What is it about that?
And so then I just expounded on it. And then also, part of the joke is because we went to go visit my father's family in Mexico, and I noticed one of the uncles, he lived like in a Gilligan's Island hut. It was a hut, you know. And so then I go, if child abuse is a cycle, how did his father get a hold of an extension cord when they ain't got no electricity? So then I explain it, and I make up a thing. Maybe they got it through mail order. Maybe they were in a child abuse club, So I just keep going with the joke,
Yeah. And have you done comedy outside of Chicago at all? Have you traveled around and went to different places?
The closest to traveling I did is like the suburbs.
Okay.
Because to me, everything has to be cost effective. Otherwise, then I'm following, I have a monkey in my back, and I'm just chasing it,
Yeah.
and trying to do this. And maybe if I go here, someone will discover me. Maybe if I go here, and I don't want to be that kind of guy. And I don't want to do 5 open mics in one night for no reason.
Yeah.
I'm a very logical person, and it has to be fruitful, has to be bearing fruit,
Yeah.
And just going everywhere and spending $25 here or $25. I look at the money, $25 or $25. If I was rich, maybe, and my driver could take me to all these places, but why would I want to subject myself to that? And I have a real life, also. So.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't understand the lifestyle of going to open mics all the time. To me, that would drive me mad. I would feel like a madman if you were doing it 7 days a week, sometimes multiple open mics. And I know there are people that are that hardcore into it. It blows my mind because again, I think even with comedy, you need to have a real life.
Yeah,
you actually need that.
That's the same mistake comedians and improv artists do the same thing.
Yeah,
they get immersed in it, but in order to expand your horizons and to write better and to bring in other characters for improv and stuff like that, you have to expand. You have to see movies.
And
you
put
have
yourself
to see
in diverse situations.
Yeah, that's how you learn.
Watch movies you wouldn't normally watch.
That's how you can add to your criteria and what you write, and that's funny, and then you add it to your, but if you don't expose yourself,
saw it, you'd never know.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that's a hard truth of life. I've never even been outside of this country, and I know I need to see somewhere else. But even just any time I travel far away, the whole reason I moved here partially is that there's so much more to be experienced in a city than there is in a smaller place.
Big time, yes.
Yeah, you just see more of life and you learn more. And even with writing books, they tell you that. They say you don't want to write until you've lived enough to try to even write a book because you need that type of mindset of all this information to even go into it the right way. And as a comedian, you'll always hear about comedians, they get famous and then they start joking about things the famous comedian lifestyle because it is kind of a unavoidable pitfall unless you have the right style of comedy. You'll fall into that because like you said, you're talking about your life. So, and that's what a lot of them do. That's a great way to put it in this instance because that is exactly what happens. What is their life now? Their life is the life of a famous comedian. So that's what they begin talking about rather than I think the best comedians are talking about what's funny about an idea. It's what is funny about this? What makes me laugh about this?
I do a lot of my writing and developing and my homework, I would say, on Facebook.
Really?
I'll see a news story.
Your research.
I'll do a news story and I go, what's funny about that? Where's the joke? And then I'll do the GIF and then I'll do the joke.
Yeah.
And some people get mad at it. Some people laugh at it. Some people love it, but that's all. And it could be just one person that gets mad, one person that laughs. And that's all that I'm seeing,
Yeah.
And it's just that joke has to come out. And since I don't have the forum, the platform to perform that joke, then I go, well, now I just wrote that joke, so that's what I find everything fun. Someone got murdered, here's the joke. So recently some kid shot his 2-year-old kid shot her mother with the mother's gun, and I suspect the kid that was a hit.
I would say Boss Baby would be the first joke that comes to mind for me.
Yeah, that was revenge.
Revenge. Yeah. Like who's paying this kid?
Accident.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and sometimes I'll do 3 jokes, in a row. Boom. Here's another joke. On the same news story because
that's fun.
Yeah.
That's fun. I remember back when I first discovered Anthony Jeselnik, that was his big thing at the end of his special was he had tweeted, he always tweeted when there was some major tragedy, he would try to come up with a joke as fast as possible. And it was right after the Boston Marathon bombing. And the tweet that he tweeted that time was, I guess some lines can't be crossed today, which is a great joke.
Yes. So that's basically what I'm doing on Facebook all the time. I'm always finding stuff.
And that's hard to do. It's hard to, I think it's like walking the line. To make a dark humor joke like that, you have to justify it. There's an art to it. You have to justify the choices that you make. Even with the N-word joke you said, you're justifying the choice of even trying to talk about such a topic by presenting ideas. Because that's the art of it in my mind. Even the best rap lines you can say, in a rap song. Rap is cool because it's different in that way, whereas other genres aren't so much with that, where it's wordplay and it's how can I find a way to say these things that I can't normally say in a regular context.
Right.
But you can find a way to word things that's artful and you can make it work. I think it's again a principal skill of life, like improv would be, I guess. It's similar to improv, is that they both, you figure out the framework of things, and then you can use that in other arts. Talking itself is an art, and learning to utilize it and to state an opinion in such a way that's not divisive. You could say a controversial opinion in a way that people just see the truth in it. A lot of great comedy is that,
where
they are saying they're saying things that aren't necessarily popular opinions, but they can say it and get away with saying it. And you're you know what? I know what he means.
And then the some of the curse of not being able to do a longer set, but everything I have can be expounded on and created and make it longer. Every minute set I can make it 5 minutes long if I want. I can make it half an hour long. So I know I have that in my pocket for the future. But the thing about with the Predator Priest joke, that joke is derived from truth. It's when the Me Too movement came out, there were a lot of women that felt slighted, that every woman in their floor was hit on except for them. So that was the phenomenon that was happening, And then one of the jokes that one of the Michael Jackson's victims said, he said that when people said, "Oh, Michael Jackson didn't bother you," and he goes, "No, I guess I wasn't good looking enough,"
Yeah.
So I'm not just, making this up to be cruel or evil. This is actually happening. But
You're reporting the facts.
But I don't want to just be up there apologizing for every joke. This is the joke. I hope you get it.
Yeah. Do you ever get worried that you might be going too far? Never even once. You just go wherever your mind goes with it. You just have fun with it. That's good.
Yeah, because that's my style. That's even though I wasn't doing stand up when I was working at Navy Pier, I was doing stand up because I would hold court either in the dressing room or in the break room, and I would do my material, and they would be and then they would laugh because they never heard any but that's just my humor.
Yeah.
That's the way, Kool Moe Dee says, God made me funky. That's just how you're made, and you either can, change yourself and sell out, or you can just be yourself.
Man, I know that you don't really film the videos, But I think if you did the same exact thing you're describing, you just wrote these jokes about like current topics you see on Facebook, but you filmed that as like a little TikTok video or whatever. Like it's a vertical video of you just talking about the topic, and maybe you have like a screenshot of like the topic on the screen or something. You could definitely make videos easily that way.
Oh,
'Cause that's already
cool.
kind of what
yeah.
you're doing.
Right,
You're making jokes about the things.
Right.
So, but if you just turned it into a video, because people would see that and they'd get what you're about pretty fast in the videos. Because that's a great. I bet you're making jokes all the time that way.
Oh, constantly,
Yeah.
every day, yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll be stuck on my phone for 2 hours because I go to the next joke, the next joke, the next. I go, how long have I been making jokes? The next joke. So yeah, I have to like stop myself. Because,
And sometimes you see the wildest things on Facebook.
Yeah.
You really do.
It's insane.
So, like, if you saw, okay, so say I'm going to give you like an example. Let's see what you would come up with. If Dogecoin went up to like $100 tomorrow, and everybody who owns Dogecoin now are millionaires, what would be? Well, if you saw that on Facebook, you're scrolling. What's like the joke that comes to mind? Every Dogecoin owner is a millionaire.
There's this one GIF with a big fat drag queen out of drag, and I use her a lot. And she has a little beanie on. She's fat, and she goes, "For now." So that's the first thing I would put. For now.
Dude, that's a good one, man. I'm telling you, you could definitely film those videos. That would be good stuff. And again, because you're talking about like topics and news and things that's happening, like if you did that too, you're just responding to things you see, like articles and whatever.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
That would also be something people could easily latch onto, because they could even look at you as a news source. Like, oh, he's going to tell me what happened.
That is good. Yeah, I like it.
I'm telling you, I see something in that idea.
I do too, yeah.
And you're good at it. You're probably very well versed in just rapid fire building jokes. Yeah.
I mean, that's why it looks, I don't know how people might view it, but it looks kind of weird that I respond with 3 different comments and the same page, because most people just have one comment and that's it, you know?
Yeah.
And I have to do a GIF and a comment. GIF and a comment. Just bam, 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 rapid fire. Because there's too many jokes in this one story.
You think your brain is always going like that? Like
Always.
It's always that's
Always.
how it goes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I'll be walking and I go, that's a joke. And from that one joke, I can make a routine.
So you have like a notepad, or like you put it in your phone
by
notes?
luck, I think when the Palm Pilot first came out,
Yeah.
that's when I started writing stuff down.
Yeah, because that's when you're in those moments.
Right, because I don't want to be like everyone else with a book, pen. That's, to me, I never wanted to do that.
Yeah.
But the phone, done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it makes it so easy.
I used to do a
so.
thing where I would do an end of year rant, and it would just be every joke that I wrote, but I didn't write into a routine yet.
Oh.
So I would just throw everything at the end of the year. That's what I would do.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Like these are all the leftovers.
Yeah, that's what it was, the leftovers.
Yeah. How many jokes do you say, if you had to guess, how many jokes do you think you write a year?
Oh, my God. So I would say well, are you including Facebook?
Oh, my God.
Well, not
That
including
would probably
Facebook.
like triple the number.
Not including Facebook. I would say, since I'll just make it nice and simple, like 52 5-minute routines
Okay.
a year. Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive though.
Yeah.
Because I mean, 52 times 5, what? That's 5 times 5, 225, 250 minutes. So that'd be, I think, if I had to guess, like it's 275, 300 minutes, and that's new minutes throughout the whole year. So of course you'd have an hour. You have all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And would the hour be like the same kind of pace as those 5 minutes? Like, do you have like? Have you ever you've done this whole hour? You've paced it out. Is it the same kind of rhythm, or is it different?
Well, everything can take you to different avenues. So the extension cord takes you to bed bugs, you know.
And so is life.
Bed bugs takes you to the predator prees. Predator prees takes you to when you used to dance as a go-go dancer. That takes you to a gay baseball player. You know, it just keeps going. You know.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yep.
And so then the pace of that is different for each story. It's different.
Yeah.
Like I was gonna do, I'll probably do it either next week or Christmas. Probably next week I'll do it. I was gonna do it yesterday, but they bumped. I don't know if you saw some. That's the only bad thing about open mics. They bump you. You know, so if someone came in yesterday, I don't know if you noticed, someone came in and they had to perform, had to perform.
Is that what it was?
And they let them in to perform. And I would say, okay, they promised me that I was going to perform before the intermission. But because of that person, I didn't get to perform, and neither did my friend. You know, we had to come back. I go, well, I'm not going to wait till after the intermission because I don't know if anyone's going to come back from the intermission.
Yeah, I don't like that they do the intermission. I just feel like it'd be smarter, you know, like if you were, because the thing is, like, people leave open mics already. So if you're going to do an intermission, that's just going to heighten
give them the
likelihood.
reason.
Give them a reason.
Take out the awkwardness of leaving during the show.
Exactly.
Yeah.
After that, because I stuck around, they still called your names out, but of course, like you're saying, they promised you before that. And it seemed like it seemed like it was about the same amount of people, but it's a risk.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like, again, like, even with the comedians there, some of them are only there for a little bit and they're going to go to another open mic.
Right.
So just like, it's better just to hammer through the whole list. And then, unless it's like a particularly long list.
I think they started the intermission because they want to encourage people to drink.
Oh, maybe.
And that's the way because that's when it started, you know.
Yeah.
And now they're trying to enforce the drink minimum now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's what it comes down to.
Yeah. And you know what makes me sad is on the post, she told me it was going to be $3 for my liquid death. And I'm so glad I brought extra dollars because it was $5. I was expecting $3 for my liquid death.
That's a big difference.
It made me sad a little bit because I was ready for my $3 and then I got gut punched with a $5 and the line was $6. And I'm a cheap guy. I'm not going to lie, guys. I'm cheap. So, but, you know, my worry is that because I don't know how many open mics do that. I don't know if that's a common thing, but I would assume that might deter people from wanting to perform, even if you say, hey, it's $5 for a drink, just because comedy shows will do that for the audience.
Right.
But it's different to say that to a performer.
What people don't understand about open mics, because they think they're God's gift of comedy and art, that's what they're giving.
Yeah.
But anytime a bar has an open mic or drag shows or, you know, musical open mic, it's not because they love art.
Yeah, they're trying to make money.
It's because they're doing bad and they need to sell drinks, you know, and people don't know how to make that possible, to make that happen. They haven't invented a formula yet to make everything work together.
Exactly. And I worry that that's not the answer. That, like, maybe that'll just scare people away from it. They're like, oh, I don't want to pay
everyone's
$5.
Thinking to this day, and that's the problem, like again with the map, is the bars are doing the same thing. They're coming with 19th, 20th century solutions to bars, you know. But bars would do 2-drink minimum when you could get 2 drinks for $5, you know.
Yeah.
You know.
Because I guess that's the difference, is the price,
That's
right?
the difference, yeah.
Because the prices have changed for bars over the years, haven't they? Did it really used to be like half the price for a beer at a bar? Really?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
I mean, and then they would always have specials, you know, it was like crazy specials, quarter beer night, you know.
Yeah.
That stupid
beer.
shit, you know.
Yeah.
And dollar beer night was the last one, I think, was in the 90s. They had dollar beer nights.
I feel like you could probably still pull off like dollar beer night. If you did that, you would probably make so much business that it would be worth it. Like if you were the bar that did dollar beer night, you could do it. I think those are the types of answers you really need. Just be the bar that does the crazy sales that just people can't help but come. Like attract the alcoholics somehow. Because you say it, they will come. But like that's but the thing is, like, I don't know what the answer would be for, like, if getting it out of the comedy people. Maybe combine the two. Maybe when the comedy people are there, say it's dollar beer night. And then every comic's going to buy 3 beers. I guarantee you. Even $2 beer, you'll get almost all of them.
Yeah, so that's the problem. They haven't figured it out. And then what ends up happening is then they get rid of the open mic because it's costing them more money than making, you know. Or if a customer gets upset, a regular paying customer gets upset at the mic, then they get rid of the mic. So, So there's a lot of mics that have gone on the wayside recently, so... But I'm not surprised because, again, no one's coming up with a formula on how to combat that. I could come up with a formula because, you know, thank God I worked in a bar for years and I worked retail, you know, before I got into comedy. So, yeah, I could figure things out easily. But
what do you think it would be? Like, how would you fix it?
Well, there's many ways. I don't want to give away my secrets. And then someone becomes a millionaire running all the media in Chicago. And I'm just like,
you better get to work though, man. Because like if you are the one who could fix it, you should fix it. Like it could be. I agree with you. I think there's a more synergistic way it could happen.
There is. Yeah. There is.
People could find. You could be a win-win situation a little bit more.
Right.
But how? That's the mystery. It's like, how do you make that happen?
Here.
Yeah. You gotta like run for office on that. I'm gonna fix the comedy open mic bar situation. You could, because like the thing is, as long as everybody wins, like as long as the comedy people are happy.
That's what people aren't doing, but you're right. That's the problem you have to fix. Everybody has to win. Bar has to win. Comedians have to win. Host has to win.
I mean, that's just like business 101 right there.
But
like
no one's following that plan.
Yeah. It's usually like the basic like, oh, the bar is letting me do this, or like we convinced the bar to let us do this. Like, you know, like there's just kind of a relationship where there's a trust on one side.
I'll give you part of the solution. Part of the solution has to be that bar wants to sell X amount in drinks.
Okay.
What's the X amount in drinks?
Yeah.
And that has to be like a guarantee. You're going to make $100 in sales tonight because of this open mic.
Yeah. How do you...
But that's the only part I'm telling you.
Oh, okay.
But that's the way it has to be done. Because then the bar is happy, and boom, you have your open mic.
But you'd have to meet that quota if you're promising that to
Exactly,
them,
yeah. And that's the formula I
have. So you give a promise and you fulfill that promise.
Right, guaranteed.
Yeah. And then the bar is happy. Yeah, that would make sense. And really, like, then it all goes to who is putting the mic together and what they're cultivating and all that too.
And that's the thing about it. Like people think, but they're wrong. People think that, okay, I'll hire this comedian and they'll bring in these comedians, or I'll hire this drag queen and she'll bring in these drag queens. But again, it comes down to, okay, this comedian has no followers. This comedian has no followers.
Yeah.
This drag queen has no followers. This band has no followers, you know? And so you have a great band, a great comedian, a great drag queen, and nobody in the audience because they have no followers. So that's the thing about it. So you have to create an audience. You got to create all that stuff. You got to bring people in, so...
And again, it's kind of a shame that the path is different, because like you said that earlier about how it's different, and I think particularly for comedy, it's crazy how different it is. Like back in the day, it used to be you want to go on talk shows, you want to have a TV show like a sitcom, like these were the marks of a comedy star.
Right.
And now it's like. And then in the 2000s, it became kind of stand-up specials, and Comedy Central would put up these stand-up specials, and stand-up specials were always big, but like I think they kind of became the big thing after that. What everybody wanted to do, they wanted a special, and more so than like a sitcom. Maybe I don't think sitcoms survived after like the early 2000s, and then about 2010 rolls around. After that, everything becomes podcasts all of a sudden, like 2015,
oh my God,
especially
yeah.
onward. Now every comedian it's become a podcast industry. Like the reason I ever listened to podcasts was comedians' podcasts. I mean, they are like the majority of it is them. And that becomes a thing now. And then Netflix specials and then things like that. Like, and the goal for a comic's so different.
And that's the thing about comedy also, is there's no commonality. Because before, everybody had to watch the same 5 channels on television.
Yep.
The same commercials.
Yeah.
So now nobody watches commercials. Nobody watches television.
Yep.
Everybody's in their own little bubbles now.
And what's weird about that, too, is like there will be this comic that's super famous that you've just never heard of because you're not in that little bubble.
Right.
They'll be like, oh, this person has 10 million followers.
Right.
Never heard their name before.
That's still a bubble. That's still a bubble.
It's its own bubble. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's so weird now. So there's bubble, this bubble. So you can't talk about, I saw this movie, because people don't even go to movies now, you know.
Yeah.
You can't talk about a commercial, you know. So, yeah, it's very, very, very weird now to write. I think it was easier to write before. And now you're like just grasping the straws if you try to mention something that you think is common, and it's not common at all. Mm-hmm. And people, what commercial? There's a commercial for that? So the good thing, which I haven't gotten, see, because again, routines are stunted because I have to start over again when I start a new bar. That's another thing I want to do is I want to start making up stuff that people can't challenge you on because nobody's in that bubble. So hey, did everybody see that commercial when the unicorn is taking a shit on this frog? So and people will have to take your word for it because they didn't see that commercial because you watched the commercial.
Yeah.
So I want to do a routine based on like just bullshit that doesn't even exist. Because no one can challenge you on it anymore. It's horrible.
Yeah. Honestly, I would have believed you.
Yeah, see?
I would have believed that. I'd be like, was it for Skittles? Like, what could it have been
They'll be
for?
Googling unicorn shitting on frog.
Yeah. It's a great prank. You just gaslight them for 3 minutes straight on fake commercials. Yeah. And at this point in time, like, I believe like anything, if you told me like anything was broadcasted on TV, I'd be like, yeah, you know what? They probably did that.
But that's where we're at now, man.
Yeah. I think like I again with like comedy and just laughing at the world, I try to look at everything and just think of it as it's hilarious.
Yes.
Truly we are still so lucky. We actually still have great circumstances we're under, relatively speaking. Like our world is pretty comfortable and we can still laugh at all these things.
Right.
Like really it's all kind of humorous when you dig deep down and you just think about the situation we all find ourselves in. There's a lot of humor to be found in it.
Oh, yeah.
Like it doesn't have to be doom and gloom, and it's pretty hilarious. Like, I mean, just the fact that you can like pick up your phone and just hear like the wildest news and be like, all right, well, at least I woke up this morning. Like, the guy from Mario just got arrested for murder. Like, it's a whole new world we're in nowadays.
It's crazy, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think like I heard that the theory where it's like the world ended in 2012, like the Mayans said, and then now we're just in the aftermath. And I really think there's a lot of truth to that. Like, it's just the aftermath now.
That makes sense.
Yeah, the system has overloaded, and we are just witnessing the files all corrupting all at once. Like the simulation is collapsing. But you know what? That's hilarious. It's very funny. I just like. It makes me. You never can predict what's going to happen next. You never know what you're going to see on that Facebook scroll.
Right.
You really don't. Like, is there any? I don't know. I think that was pretty solid. I mean, you know what? I do want to ask you a little bit more about like when you get into comedy and you start performing at all those open mics again after that hiatus. How was that? Was that like a weird kind of adaptation, or do you feel like that stand-up was always the same like when you were doing it in the 90s? Because that was a big gap right there.
Oh, yeah. That's when I noticed, I go, these people are not ready for 5 minutes. They can't handle 5 minutes.
Like immediately you noticed that.
I go, yeah, this is not working. This doesn't work, you know?
Yeah.
But if I give them 1 minute, they're like, okay, this is going to be 1 minute. Okay, there's going to be, they're like interested. They're invested all of a sudden, you know?
Yeah. I mean, that's smart too. 1 minute and again, like even with that social media thing, like you could even do that where you do just film the same 1 minute by yourself and just put text there, 1 minute with Frank Vega. You don't even have to be on the stage. Like you could just film those wherever too while you're walking. Hey, 1 minute with Frank Vega. Because I mean, I don't know if you're interested in doing that, but I just know that like with social media, again, with those expectations that all these clubs have, it wouldn't be hard to translate that type of thing. You're already doing the rapid fire, 60 seconds, 120 seconds. I mean, if you like the thing you're doing and you don't want to do that, you do you 100%.
No, I definitely would like to do that, but I always come down to, what was that movie where they did jazz? Some stupid movie. I don't even know the names of the people in there.
Pulp Fiction?
No. It was a jazz movie. I forgot the two people that were in it.
Like one of those older sing-song movies?
No. It was one of the newer movies.
La La Land.
La La Land.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm terrible with names and stuff. So La La Land, I wanted to be able to do. There's many things I want to do, but I know I need an audience. So I don't want to do all these videos and stuff. I think the TikTok video is a great idea, though. But and then once I have people, then I'll do the other 1 minute rapid fire stuff. But to me, I need an audience. So first, I don't know how the audience is supposed to appeal out of nowhere, and then I'll do that because that's the one thing I took away from La La Land, and that's why I don't do it is because I've been my girlfriend and people have told me you should do a one-man show, blah, blah, blah. And I go, I don't want what happened to La La Land to happen to me, where you have a whole theater and you're ready to do your one-man show, and there's like 5 people in a 400, 1,000 seat theater, because that's what's going to happen to me.
And like with the way that everybody's in a bubble now, you can even build that audience online, but the problem is they're not all in Chicago.
Right.
You could have a show in Chicago, but your bubble might be all there in Australia for some reason.
Exactly.
You're super famous in Australia.
So that's the issue. But I think if I would ever do a show, I think what's happening inadvertently, which I'm happy, because I always like, the business always defines you. Whether you're an actor, whether the business always defines you and puts you in a niche. And if you don't want to be in that niche and you have the money to stay out of that niche, then you can just refuse the niche. You know, like I have friends who are Shakespearean actors. Yeah. And then they're stuck doing children's theater, you know, and they can't do it. So if they have the money, or they don't have any money and just invest and do Shakespeare somewhere else on their own, you know, at a coffee house or something like that, just to fulfill their dream, I respect that, you know. But to pay the bills, you got to do children's theater, and you'll never do Shakespeare in your life, which is very sad. And I've seen that a lot of sad stuff. So what's happening to me now, the niche I'm being pushed into, is I'm becoming a comics comic. Okay. Because most comics would not want me to be in their showcase because of my dark humor. Yeah. You know, I'm like, I would be the Debbie Downer if the show's going crazy, then I go, how many of you whipped an extension cord as a kid? They're like, you know. So, but I'm becoming a comics comic. So I think if I would do a one-man show, or when I do a one-man show, that's what it would be. It would be an invitation to comics, you know, and friends for the show. Not an audience, because I know I'm sure an audience doesn't know me, and an audience always like, what the hell? Why am I here hearing about, you know, being molested by a priest? you know? Yeah. But I've become a comics comic because I'm the one saying stuff, you know, that no one's ever going to dare to say, you know. And,
the other comics would be afraid to say.
Right. And they enjoy it. They enjoy it. They enjoy what I'm doing and stuff like that. But, you know, they're not going to bring me to it to meet their mom to do comedy. Yeah. So I think that's what's happening with me now, which I don't mind at all, because, you know, I've always let the business decide who I am.
That's, you know, I relate to that as a musician with, like, sometimes I feel like I'm like 10 years ahead of my time. I'm a musician's musician. Like, musicians understand what I'm doing with the words and the way that I'm formulating these things. They hear it and they're like, oh my God, like this is beyond a lot of things.
And people that know anything about art, like me, actors, you know, I appreciate what you're doing. I go, wow, this guy's amazing. Wow. I mean, to have...
Because there's an art form to it.
Right. And to have your ability on stage is impeccable. I mean, people try to teach that. People go to school to learn that, and they can't learn it. Yep. And for you to do just glibly up there, I go, what the fuck? Look at this guy go, you know? And you're good, you know? So So no, it's very impressive. It's very impressive, because that's very hard for people to do on stage. And I've worked with, you know, with many in classes and workshops, and that's the hardest thing for them to just let go. Just let go. Quit thinking. Don't, you know, just go. And you have it, man. You have it. So that's nice to see.
Yeah. I have a song called Go, and I look at that song as that principal thing in song form. Is like, in life, you either don't or you do things. Like, you either choose to or you choose not to. And I think part of performing and part of stage performing and, like, getting up there and doing it is accepting that, like, you are just going to move forward with this and let it be what it is. And in accepting that, you can make it the best thing that it is. Because if you don't get past that first step, if you're constantly questioning it, it's not going to come out right. That's all see-through. Like, all of those questions you have in your head and all of that inner, oh, is this okay? Are these people going to like me? Is this the right room for me? All that stuff comes right out. And even if you do think that, because like you said, it's normal to get nerves before you go out on anything. Like, as an actor, as anything, you're like, oh, I'm nervous. But that's normal. You got to utilize it, though, and turn it into something else. Like, that's energy you can use in that performance rather than...
Like there's a saying, and that's why I'm glad I'm doing stand-up, because you don't want to be... They say actors act, you know? So you have to do what you're doing, to be who you are, So my mom sort of said that to me when I was first starting out because she didn't understand how I could be at home, being an actor, because but that's the thing. You send your headshots, you audition, but so so she told me one day, she goes, you say you're an actor, and all you do is sit on your balls.
Thanks, Mom.
I go, what? That's the way of saying actors act. I know what she's saying. She goes, I'm an actor, and you're just sitting on your balls all day. I go, what the heck?
Was there truth in what she said? Do you think you felt?
Well, yeah, but that's the gig. That's what you do as an actor. You just send out shit until you get a gig, and then you're back to sitting down and waiting for the next gig.
Yep. But it's like Sisyphus pushing the boulder up the hill or whatever it is. There's something about life that is such a thing. Like even when you achieve that success that you're reaching for, you still will have to push that boulder up that hill again, and you'll still want to get better. There's people think I'm gonna get famous and everything's gonna be great, and it's not quite like that. Like you almost. I feel like it's easy to, again, it's like that principle, you either go or you don't. People get in this mindset of they get ahead of themselves and they want all these things they don't have. Right. And then in the future you realize, the way things were back then were actually pretty nice. That was actually pretty cool. But it's hard to remind yourself, like, this is all great. Like, the moment I'm in is great for what it is.
And that's great to have that, because I have that too. I enjoy everywhere I'm at, when I'm doing it, and I get to enjoy it. A lot of people don't get to enjoy it, and they don't see the greatness of it. I remember when
to be alive.
Right. And to be doing something you love, you know, that's like very hard to find. So,
it's a miracle in a way to be able to do what you love, And I think like the fact that, like how you find freedom in comedy, I find freedom in music. The fact that we can do that is such a beautiful thing that life has to offer, Because that's... The stars aligning to allow me to write a song are crazy when you really think about it. Like the fact that I can take my time and just waste it on that.
Right. That's amazing.
It's amazing because, there's a million other things that could be happening. I could be any other person, but I just happen to be me. And I just happen to be in this moment right now. And that's fantastic. And like, it's easy to lose that. And it's easy to get lost in these. I think people have ideal versions of things, an ideal version of themselves, an ideal version of the perfect situation, the perfect career. And then again, you lose yourself in that idea, that version of this is what I should be, And I think like the best performers, like when you say about going on stage and being all the way into it, that's what that is letting go of all of that.
Yep.
Just letting go of whether or not this is okay and just going all the way in on that. And it can't be taught. It truly can't. But I can say all of these words and I can make sense of it, but you have to learn through the experience of doing it. Just like life, though. Just like how everything in life, like I can choose to do something. I can choose to get up and get out of bed and go outside and enjoy my day, or I could just sit inside all day. I have that choice. That's also a freedom,
right?
But like life teaches you in so many different ways that like you do want to get out there and do it. It feels so good to embrace yourself. And everybody's different, man. Everybody has different interests. I think that's so cool that I can talk to one person, they'll tell me all about one thing, and another person has a million other things they can say, And that's why this podcast is so fun. It's so fun. Comics in particular. Comics, I think, are interesting people. I'm sure you've learned that in the comedy world.
Yeah.
Yeah, comics have all kinds of stories, it seems. Yeah, you guys lead fun lives. You got a good story to close it out on? You got anything good that happened to you recently? Any story comes up in your mind?
Oh, wow. I don't know. Only thing that comes up in my mind right now is that in order for me to get started as an entertainer, I came from a very sheltered background.
Okay.
So I knew what I wanted to be, but I didn't know how to be it because I didn't know any friends or family, anyone in the neighborhood that was doing anything. Because I'm from real Chicago, and in real Chicago, nobody goes to the theater, and so nobody wants to be an actor. Nobody thinks that's even a possibility. And so I didn't know what to do. And so then I think my mom told me, she goes, you can't be an actor because you don't know anybody. And so I had no idea, because that's how sheltered I was, that you could actually go to acting classes. I didn't know that existed. I didn't know Second City was an improv place, and I lived in Chicago all my life. I didn't know you could go to college and become a drama major. I didn't know any of that stuff. So I was just, at home and then getting a headshot, sending it here and there. I didn't know what to do. And by luck, I had sent a headshot to Green Bay, Wisconsin. And the guy called me. He goes, "You got a great look." He goes, "But you have no experience." He goes, "So what you got to do," he says, "is you got to sign up to Second City, learn improv, go to their conservatory class." He goes, "And once you finish that, it'll open doors for you." And I did, and it did.
What's their conservatory class? What's that?
It's their conservatory program. So basically, it's their improv classes. So I think they have a prerequisites you have to take. But I did prerequisites in the Second City other program. And then you have to take improv 1, 2, 3, 4. So levels.
Yeah.
You do, and that's the conservatory program. You graduate from that. And then from there, you can do any of their shows. You can audition for this. You can audition for that. Yeah.
Oh,
so, yeah.
And that's like, you can put that on a resume.
Right. Yeah. Once I had that, that's what got me my job at Navy Pier.
I see.
I was a conservatory graduate.
And they want improv people.
And they wanted Chicago improv.
Yeah.
So that's why I went there. And I was the only Chicago improv they hired. Everyone else was from everywhere else, because this is such a transient city. It's crazy. Like, there's hard to find anyone from Chicago. So
Yeah. And that helps in that type of thing?
Well, not really, because if I was the only Chicago guy,
yeah,
I was just really good.
Yeah.
I was just really good. I had this one audition which was sad, and it was at a nightclub, and the guy took me to the side and he goes, "You did a great audition." He goes, "You're fucking amazing." He goes, "But every guy in the improv troupe, they're over 6 foot or they're 6 foot and they're blonde. So it would just look weird." He didn't have any vision, because it would look funny to me if I was without these blonde guys. But he goes, "I wish we could hire you, but we can't."
Oh, but the juxtaposition of it, like you say.
That's what you know. And so same thing with all my auditions for plays and stuff like that I did, is I always need a director with a vision. You know, otherwise if they want to cookie cutter everything, I'm not going to fit in. That's why I'm glad I was able to do my own haircut, because I'm not worried, because I'm not a cookie cutter guy. They're not going to hire me anyway.
Yeah.
So unless the director has vision.
Because then what. People don't realize that with film too. It's the same exact way. Like, a director does so much. They're the reason that things kind of flow the way they do. That's why I would have favorite directors, or people. Directors have certain. Because, there's still a million other moving parts in a movie, but the director's the one that's leading the actors emotionally, and telling them, "Hey, this is where this is supposed to be." And imagine it's the same type of thing in this environment, where they're like telling you, this is how the show's supposed to go. And an actor needs that. An actor really does need that. They need direction. They need to know, what am I supposed to be? What's my goal here? Because then you can get from point A to point B in the right fashion. Yeah. We're not just wandering aimlessly with throwing our swords around, throwing people off the plank and whatnot. It was that, like, what was the general show like though with that? Like, what kind of stuff would you do with the kids?
Well, first we'd have just a regular show. Some shows were interactive, where we'd bring up the kid, dress him up like a pirate and stuff like that, But most of the shows, they were like just pirate adventures and fighting a serpent,
Nice.
Or we do improv shows where we're doing a funny version of Cinderella.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Yeah. So
that's cute.
Yeah,
man.
It was really fun.
That would be really fun. Yeah. I think it'd be fun to do like a show with kids like that, especially at Navy Pier, because you'd have so many, again, transient people just coming through.
So many, yeah.
Yeah, because you get to give them that experience.
And that's why, like, that was I think that was the biggest difference that for me, in terms of doing comedy, again, is I was so used to a huge audience all the time.
Yeah.
And then I go, there's like 5 people out there, and I go, okay.
Yeah. A little change of pace. And if people were going to go see you do comedy, where can they find you doing comedy?
Well, right now I'm hanging my hat on the Glenwood.
The Glenwood. Shout out. That's where we're at right now. And maybe I've convinced this guy to be on the social media a little more, to rot his brain with TikTok a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. I'm gonna go against the recommendations of our government. go to TikTok.
It's probably not. Even just for like your general health, it's probably best to stay away as long as you can. TikTok lures everybody in eventually. It's like a dangerous drug, truly.
That's why I stayed with Facebook. That's already a part-time job for me.
Yeah, it is. Like all that, again, like with the social media, it becomes a part-time job.
Yeah.
Again, the ideal is you just have a guy follow you with a camera and say, "Film me when I'm funny." Like, please. We'll figure something out here. But yeah, man, and it was a pleasure having you on. If you wanted to tell the people any like final message and all your social medias, all that, now's your chance to do that. So.
Oh wow, I don't even know what my social media is. I know I'm FRAVN1 on Instagram, and I think I'm just Frank Vega on Facebook.
All right, Fravin1 and a Frank Vega on Facebook. Yeah, and folks, it was a pleasure to have you here. Go follow your dreams. Go blow some minds. Go do something great. All right, go be yourself, just like Frank Vega and I always are, unapologetically. I think it's better to be exclusive rather than inclusive. That's my controversial take. Be exclusive, folks. And with that being said, Ruse Radio. Clocking out.
Got the world in my pocket, got a girl on my arm, got an eye in my socket, whirlwinds in my palms. I'm a free man, let me lead you along. I can show you something different, let me sing you a song. Ain't no algorithm touch me, ain't no palace this lovely. I find a way to find a way out.